The Casentino forests, Mount Falterona and Campigna National Park. The Casentino forests, Mount Falterona and Campigna National Park is a very important park in Italy. It is located in the Tosco-Romagnolo Apennines, a mountain range between Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna, two regions between northern and central Italy. The history of this land goes back a very long way in the past. Populations like the Etruscans, for example, who many centuries ago used to live in Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna, would come here to pray to their gods. Reminding us of this past is a lake called the Lake of Idols, given its name in memory of the time when the Etruscans used to come here with offerings and gifts for their gods. If we visit these forests today, we will notice that there are very few towns and buildings and hardly any signs of the presence of human beings. Today, this place feels very wild. There was a time, however, when lots of people lived here. When there was animal farming and agriculture, the Casentino forests looked very different. Over the centuries, the timber from these forests has been used for some really important buildings. It was used, for example, to make the scaffolding for constructing the Duomo in Florence, the largest church in the city of Florence, the capital city of Tuscany. The Casentino forests were also a place that many holy figures chose as a place of prayer and meditation, like St. Romuald, whose idea it was to build the hermitage of Camaldoli, and St. Francis, who founded the sanctuary of Laverna. There are various pilgrimage trails through the park that recall the presence of these holy men, like the Via di Francesco or the St. Francis Way, which traces and connects the sites of St. Francis. This path will lead you, for example, to the sanctuary of Laverna, a sacred site in the heart of the forests, famous for being the place where St. Francis of Assisi actually lived. It's incredible to think that you can follow one single path from Florence, more precisely from the Church of Santa Croce in the centre of Florence, taking you all the way to the sanctuary of Laverna. St. Francis is known for his love of nature and of animals, which he considered part of his own family. According to legend, it was right here, at the sanctuary of Laverna, that God appeared to St. Francis in the form of an angel. Before St. Francis of Assisi, however, this place was the scene of many myths and legends tied to the Casentino forests, including once being the home of an ancient pagan cult, the cult of Laverna, goddess of thieves and outcasts. If you're listening to this story because you're thinking about going walking through the Casentino forests, we need to imagine a landscape of hills covered with trees and some pretty tall mountains. The altitude ranges from 400 metres above sea level to 1,658 metres. The tallest of the mountains we'll find here is Monte Falterona, with a height of 1,654 metres. It's at this very mountain where we find the source of a famous river, the River Arno, a very important river that flows all the way down to Florence and runs through the whole city. Inside the park, there are lots of magical things to discover. One of the most beautiful places is a high waterfall called the Waterfall of Acqua Cheta, or Cascata dell'Acqua Cheta. This waterfall was even named by a very famous poet, Dante Alighieri, in his most well-known work called The Divine Comedy. Using our imagination, we can try and explore inside this park, which looks just like a woodland for fairies and elves. There are caves, tall tree trunks with thick treetops, and a huge variety of animal species. On our walk, we can see lots and lots of trees. There are woods of big sycamore maple with their fascinating hand-like leaves with 5 pointed tips. We can also find strong beech trees that can grow up to 40 metres tall, ash trees with their full treetops, and dark brown elm trees, which can live for hundreds of years. We will also come across some lime trees. These trees have long been famous since ancient times, as their leaves and flowers can be made into herbal teas used for curing stress. Depending on the season, the colour of the leaves of these trees can be very different, changing from green in the spring to yellow to brown and to red in the autumn. If we visit this place in the spring, we are likely to be struck by the endless fields and glades. In amongst the fields of flowers, we will definitely come across the flowers of the anemone plant. These flowers grow in a kaleidoscope of colours, reds, purples, whites, and are shaped like little goblets. There is a legend surrounding this flower, as told by an ancient Roman poet called Ovid. The tale describes the anemone flower being born from the tears of the goddess Venus, who was crying because her love Adonis died during a hunt. As well as the anemone, we find lots of other flowers on our walk through the park, like the narcissus flower or daffodil, cranberry flowers and violets. A particularly beautiful sight, not to be missed, is the spring bloom of cardamom flowers or cuckoo flowers and snowdrops in April and May, which flower at the foot of the tall beech trees. Snowdrops have white petals and are shaped like a little bell. They are not only pretty to look at, but they too have a story dating back to ancient times, when they were considered a symbol of purity and thought to bring good luck. Still today, in many cultures, this flower is associated with hope, because when it appears, it marks the end of winter and the start of a new natural cycle. There are some places where you can see all of the plant species found in the park, like at the historic arboretum located in Badia Prataglia, l'Arboreto Siemoni, founded in 1846 as a place to study how to grow non-native species, even at these high altitudes. Inside the Casentino Forest National Park, if you're lucky, you can also see lots of animals. Thanks to the natural habitat formed by the tall trees sitting very close to each other and literally touching the sky, and a very limited presence of humans, you can find a huge range of bird varieties and lots of mammals like stags, fallow deer, roe deer, wild boar, and of course the kings of the forest, wolves, the largest predator found in the park today. For keen bird watchers, the park is the perfect place, as here we can observe many rare birds, like the tree creeper and the bullfinch, a small bird with orange feathers on its breast, or more Mediterranean species, such as the eastern subalpine warbler and the searle bunting, which looks just like a sparrow with a bright yellow head. The super tall trees are full of little cavities, which make perfect shelters for some of the birds to make their nests in, like the tawny owl, the crested tit and the blue tit. It is also possible to spot the beautiful Eurasian nuthatch and the spotted woodpecker here, known for hammering the tree trunks with their beaks, either searching for larvae to eat or carving their nests inside the trees. These majestic mountains are also haven for large birds of prey. Golden eagles, eagle owls and peregrine falcons are all big predators that live here. Sharing the landscape with these giants of the sky are also some small winged creatures that can easily go unnoticed, but that are very important to planet Earth. Pollinators. Wasps, bees, butterflies, ladybirds, and spiders circulate pollen from the flowers, allowing the flowers to grow in other places and increasing the growth of plants and flowers throughout the whole forest. There are many stories connected to these places. One is about the Buca delle Fate, or Fairies' Grotto, a natural cave found in the park. They say that one day, a young farmer saw a beautiful girl there and fell in love with her. Every day the girl would go back to find the farmer until one day she didn't appear, so he thought she was no longer interested in him. Sometime later the girl reappeared and the young man asked her why she hadn't come back to see him. She replied, "I've been with you every day, keeping you company. One day I was a blackbird, another day a butterfly or a firefly. I have always been right next to you." Today when we see butterflies, fireflies or other little creatures here, according to legend, they might just be fairies that live in the forest of Badia. Together, we have travelled through the Casentino forests, Mount Falterona and Campigna National Park, and we have imagined its paths, its legends, its numerous animals, and its boundless plant life. We really hope that you will come in person one day soon and discover the beauty of this magical place. The Parks, A Listening Journey, is a project of 6 podcasts using accessible language created to share fun facts, stories, myths and legends and provide information on the wildlife of 6 great protected areas of Tuscany, a journey for all.